Welcome everybody to the first interview of January for the Business Bookcase. And we are talking to Mark Weinstein, the author of our December book of the month, which is called Restoring Our Sanity Online, a Revolutionary Social Framework, which all sounds very exciting. Thank you. That's upside down, but thank you for the picture.
Upside down the way the camera is set up. There we go. There we go.
That's great. Thank you. So thank you so much for your time, Mark, and Happy New Year to you and to everybody watching and listening. I'd just like to spend a bit of time talking with you about this book. So firstly, Mark, I wonder if you could give us a couple of minutes on your kind of history to date and what it was that prompted you to write this.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mark. Listen, I am and note that one of the original inventors, founders of social media. There are probably about 100 of us around the world who did it at approximately the same time back in the 90s. Some of you probably weren't even alive then. But many of us remember what was called Web 1. So I built Super Family and Super Friends in Web 1. They were PC Magazine top 100 sites. Then Web 1 shifts and evolves into Web 2. And Web 2, I was watching. Web 1 was over. And then Mark Zuckerberg said, he made a statement, privacy is a social norm of the past. My jaw dropped. I happened to watch his interview and I came back in Web 2, which is still around. Web 2 is known as the age of surveillance capitalism, where your data and all of the information about you is slurped up by web companies, governments, nefarious entities, and you're manipulated, targeted, etc. Your opinions, everything about you is targeted and manipulated. My second company was MeWe, MEWE. It still exists. It's got about 20 million members. And I left that company. I'm on the board. I left that company, though, 3 years ago to write the book because this problem is bigger than one company. We have got to fix social media. We've got to save our kids, save civil discourse, save democracy, and get it right. I love social media, and right now it's a mess.
Oh wow! So first of all, that's great because you clearly know what you're talking about, which is a good start from a reader's perspective. But when you say it's a mess, are you suggesting that it's kind of bad for our health or bad for the way human beings interact with each other?
Let's check the box for all of the above.
Right. Okay.
I publish a lot. I was just in Lisbon, in Portugal, speaking to 15,000 people from the stages at Web Summit. My advisors and people who endorse this book include Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the web. He's a Brit.
Yep.
And Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, better known as Woz. These gentlemen call this book a vital read, a must read. It's also an entertaining read because, this social media is rather hilarious when you start writing about it. And I've documented everything that I've written about. But yes, so Ruth, social media today perpetrates so many falsehoods. There are millions of bots and trolls, from nefarious countries and entities around the world. All of our data has been leaked over time. And so we've got to save privacy. We've got to save our kids' mental health, our mental health. We've got to sort facts from fiction. We've got to do it properly. We've got to get rid of bots and trolls. And we've got to encourage civil discourse, free speech that's civil, without hate, without inciting violence. But we've got to encourage it. We don't want to ban conversations about vaccines or the backbone of democracy is disagreement. We need to nurture that, but we need to nurture that with people who are talking and real people, not bots and trolls, not foreign countries trying to interrupt democracies.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And without trying to shut other people down, listening
Right.
and sharing
Real
and
people.
being open to other people's opinions, which we do, if we're just socially interacting in the pub or, at friends for dinner, we do that naturally. Somehow when it's online, there seems to be a kind of, I don't know, some barrier that comes down that makes us behave in a different way, maybe.
Yes, and also, Ruth, what we all don't realize is how many millions of bots and trolls. Now, a bot and troll, these are actually not real people. These are programmed robotic accounts, or in the case of a troll, it's a human being running a false account. There are thousands of these. They're often paid. They can get blue checks on X because they're programmed to be able to use credit cards, and they will just create incendiary conversations, outrageous content, and keep the conversation going. Remember, AI now supercharges the algorithm that's deciding what you see on X or on Insta or on Snap, or really TikTok or wherever you are. And so AI now, with the algorithm married together, anticipates your thoughts before you think them. This is why so many people, old and young, are now really addicted. They're glued to their phones, and they're like for an hour, and you can't stop them. You might see an older relative who you never realized before, and they're stuck and they're addicted, and they think it's great and entertaining, but actually it's just manipulating, it's perpetrating, and it's changing their opinions based on whoever is paying for that bot or troll to be posting that content.
And that is a scary place to be in terms of both our privacy and democracy itself.
Absolutely.
And we should be
Yeah,
questioning that
yeah,
and thinking about other
yeah.
ways.
Meta today, just today, Meta announced that they're going to scale way back on fact checking. Um, and what does this all mean? Well, they're currying favor, with the politicians, but at the same time, democracy really depends on a certain accuracy of information. Because if you're fed false information and you don't realize it, which is what the web really has perpetrated,
Mm,
the ability for deep fakes, this ability to perpetrate an idea that's completely false, um, then democracy is in the crosshairs. Democracy is at risk.
yeah, yeah. And that is, as I said, a scary place to be. But your book is not without hope.
Well, the book is not scary at all. See, here's the thing. Now, there you go. There's the dark side, everybody. I love social media. I'm one
Mm,
of the guys who invented it.
mm,
The inventor of the web is a close advisor, Sir Tim Berners-Lee. He invented the web to do good things, to make
yeah.
us more connected for humanity. The idea of social media is really spectacular. Let's more love, more connectedness, more communication, because even in a one family, your family or mine, or our listeners, you could have family members working and living around the world, and the web is great and email is not great because email is one dimensional.
Mm,
So, back in the 90s, we're going back almost 30 years ago when I invented one of the first social media companies. Email was around, we were all using it. It was already ghastly, it was already one dimensional. You can't really get what's that person really thinking when they're saying this? It's one dimension. You can misinterpret email so easily.
oh,
So the idea
definitely.
of social media is just, and all the technology that we use with it is great. So we've just got to fix it. And the book has plenty of very real solutions that we can all participate in. That Sir Tim Berners-Lee, inventor of the web, says this is how we do it.
And so you talk about a bit about Web3. What is it, and what's the problem? And then you go on to talk about Web4. So I wonder if you could give us a couple of minutes on the difference between Web3 and Web4.
All right. So listen, you and everybody, you may have heard the buzz phrase Web3. It's been buzzing for a while, but there's nothing concrete about it. But Web3, here are the fundamentals. Web3 is built on blockchain, and its financing mechanism is cryptocurrency. So, but for social media, blockchain doesn't work for social media because once you get several million users on a platform, blockchain is too clunky, too slow. It can't facilitate all the communication transactions, all the packages. The packages are all the data. Your post, their
Mm,
post, their post, their post, your post. You're like, they're like, your video. Your story, everything. It can't handle it. Blockchain can't handle it, and finally, engineers who have been fighting it for years, including Tim Berners-Lee, who had his engineering team on this for years. He threw in the towel in 2022. He said blockchain doesn't work for social media. It works for financial institutions. It works for identity verification. And then the idea of Web3 that we're going to monetize our relationships because all the users participate in the cryptocurrency and they get little fractional cryptocurrencies for upvoting and downvoting posts and doing moderation. But people don't want to monetize their relationships. People are on social media to communicate,
Mm.
not to monetize. So
Yeah.
unless you're a creator, and that's a different paradigm for social. Creators are great, but the vast millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions of users on social media are there to communicate, not to monetize their relationship and cheapen human relationship. So Web3 doesn't work. So for several other reasons, and don't think that your identity is anonymous on Web3 because it's not. And actually, we're going to have to talk about anonymity. We need anonymity for marginalized people and whistleblowers, but on social media, we need user ID verification. So a 13-year-old kid is not being tricked by a 50-year-old creep. And
Mm.
so someone is posting outrageous ideas, even if they have a pseudonym, which in my book I talk about, let's have pseudonyms, but the site knows whether they're a real person or not. So there's verification that a real person is making this post, not a bot or a troll. We've got to get there to save ourselves, our kids, and civil discourse and democracy. One
This,
more thing, Ruth.
go
I
on.
also want to get in Web4 data portability. This is coming, where you'll be able to take your data down off of Meta or Facebook or Insta or TikTok or wherever and move it to another site. We'll encourage the free market. This is what Tim has created, something called solid pods, which are where your data will store. So it will no longer be accessible to these data giants, the social media companies, and everybody. Your data will come back to you privately. We restore privacy for our kids, for ourselves. Some of this might be too late. It's already a cat's out of the bag, so to speak.
Mm.
But for our kids and future generations, we get data portability, data pods. We save privacy. We save democracy. We save civil discourse. We save great communication because, again, I love social media. Let's get it back to what it was all about in Web 1, which was really great, authentic connectedness with everybody around the world.
Yeah, which sounds fantastic, and definitely that's where we want to go. Just being conscious of time, Mark, we're going to just ask you. So one of the things I really loved about reading the book is that all of the chapters are quite short, and they're in it, so it's really bite size, and you can dip in and out of it and pick up what you want. I found it easy to read and in a helpful style. But I wonder if there's one message you would want people to pick up from this book, what would that be?
The message is that the big tech giants don't control us. We have lots of power. There are action plans in almost every chapter, things you can do right now. It's also entertaining, as Ruth knows, having read it. There's a lot of anecdotes. There's a
Yeah.
lot of my sense of humor in there, sort of observing something that occurred. There are stories that are real that are just going to crack you up. Um, but yeah, the one message is that it's up to us and we can do it, and it's right at our fingertips, and you can start today.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And is there a question that I haven't asked you that you think I should have asked you?
Well, perhaps what we talk about is some things are, well, how long will it take?
Mm.
And things like that. And what I would say is, first of all, I'm encouraged, by the GDPR and other laws and regulations in the EU. The EU's ahead. And so we want the EU to stay ahead. I'm encouraged by laws in Great Britain now, which will put a social media executive in jail if he or she violates the laws around privacy, data privacy, protection of minors, things like that. And another question is, people are asking, well, what do you think the minimum age is for kids on social media? As we watch Australia and in Europe, some European countries are moving towards 16 as minimum age, and this will require user ID verification, which can be done while protecting our privacy, just not anonymity. But here it is, everybody. Your anonymity is already over if you're a real person, because they already know who we are. The governments, the marketers, the social media companies, everybody knows who we are already. Who they don't know are the bots and trolls. So let's say, let's get user ID verification on social media. Let's not have it in other places so we can protect whistleblowers and marginalized people. But on social media, definitely. And let's get the bots and trolls out of our system so that we can have civil discourse again and protect our kids and our democracies.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm right there, 100% behind you. And you're right, that I think that in various countries around the world now, people are waking up to the potential danger for our kids in particular. We've seen lots of news items in the UK
Regulate them.
about.
By the way, I support 13. Yeah, I think 13 is a more realistic age, but I'm encouraged because we've got to keep our young kids off of social media and stop them from begging their parents. And this means keep them off of YouTube too. It just means keep them safe. There's a lot of parental advice in the book on how to parent your kids around their smartphones, their iPads, and how to role model for them. There's a lot of material here that a parent can use immediately, that if you don't have kids, you can use immediately. There's a lot of great stuff in the book, a lot of action plan. And like Ruth said, the chapters are purposely punchy and short.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. That practical tips about what you can do today that will make a difference, both for yourself and your kids. That's great. Thank you. So finally, then, Mark, if people want to learn more or understand more about the work you do, what's the best way for them to connect or get in touch with you?
So for the book, of course, go to Amazon, go to your local bookstore, go wherever books are sold, order it. Please put a review on Amazon, because that's how their algorithm works to promote the book, is real people giving reviews. And my email is mark@restoretheweb.com. It's MARK at restoretheweb.com. Also, you can contact me through my website, markweinsteininventor.com, MARKWEINSTEIN, inventor, INVENTOR.com, or in Europe, as people like to say, Weinstein, markweinsteininventor.com. Listen, I'm easy to find, mark@restoretheweb.com, and please do grab a copy of the book. It's available on Kindle also. And let's share. We want to share together, get this conversation, get us all empowered, and we start the solution. It'll only take a couple of years, everybody. Tim's pod's already invented. Data portability is coming. Let's get this, as they say, let's get this show on the road.
Super. Thank you very much. That's lots of ways to get in touch. And obviously this interview will be on LinkedIn, and there'll be posts about it, and people can follow the links from there. I will close the recording now, and thank you once again, Mark, for your time, and Happy New Year to everybody. Go out and have and read the book, think about what it says, implement the things that you can implement, and as Mark says, let's restore our sanity online. Great goal for 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ruth.